One TikTok would make me cry, and then the next video would make me laugh. And it was this alternate of laughing and crying. And I put my phone down because I felt like I was going crazy. And I thought, this can't be good for me. You don't know who's watching your content. You don't know who's going to see it. What are you trading your time for? Is it something that promotes the quality of your life, or is it something that takes away from that? And we wonder why we feel so depressed sometimes. Are you creating content that has value, or are you creating more noise in the world? Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Ask Say the podcast. I'm your host, Saytioco, and what a beautiful day to be back here at Sage Studios, the only podcasting studio in BGC. This is the perfect playground for all content creators out there. They have 2 recording studios with high-tech equipment. All you have to do is come to the studio, record your script or your interview, and then they give you the files, and that's it. They have an open space outside where you can hold just about anything. We've done gatherings over here, brunches, meetings. I've shot OOTD videos because this can also be a yoga studio or a Pilates studio because they have a wall full of mirrors. So it can also be a dance studio. They also have a makeup room wherein you can shoot your makeup videos. They have this lighted vanity, which is super pretty. And if ever you need to do your hair and your makeup before recording in the studios, you can do it in the makeup room. I'll have the link of Sage Studios in the information box. Go ahead and DM them for a free trial. The episode today is all about mindful consumption and creation. 2 things I think that we really have to talk about and raise awareness on. I know I'm not the only one who has gone through episodes of mindless scrolling on social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, or whatever social media platform you're using. And there was this one night when I felt pain in my hand because I was holding my phone for too long and I did not have a pop socket. So I needed to grab it with my hand. And I just kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And I felt like I was going crazy because one TikTok would make me cry, and then the next video would make me laugh. And it was this alternate of laughing and crying. And I put my phone down because I felt like I was going crazy. And I thought, this can't be good for me. Like the switch in emotions and just the mindless and the endless scrolling. And then when you look at the time, 3 hours has passed. So I did a little Googling and I asked, why is scrolling on TikTok so addicting? It says on here, with its endless stream of short, engaging videos, the app taps into our brain's craving for quick entertainment and instant gratification. Every time we swipe up, we get a new burst of dopamine, the chemical responsible for making us feel good. No wonder it's so addictive. We get a dopamine burst every time we swipe. TikTok addiction is driven by its dopamine triggering features. Each like, share, and view on TikTok creates a feedback loop that releases dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. Over time, teens can become, or not even teens, anyone can become addicted to this dopamine rush and crave more and more time on the platform. So I read off of 2 different articles, and I think that there are 2 ways to get addicted. One is by consuming media, and one is by creating content on social media platforms and getting those likes, getting those comments. And I think that there are certain boundaries and parameters that we have to really be mindful of when it comes to consuming content and creating content. Now let's start off with consuming content. It has to be mindful. We really have to be mindful, especially in this day and age where content is easily accessible anytime, anywhere. I am a millennial and I grew up in the 90s. And back then, when we want to watch something, a show, a movie, a series, we'd have to hunt for those things. We'd have to buy DVDs, CDs, VCDs. But now, if I think of something that I want to watch, I would just go on my phone and just search it up, and then boom, I have it right on the palm of my hands. Why is mindless scrolling so dangerous? Number 1, because it eats up your time. Time is a very valuable resource. It is something you can never, ever get back. Imagine using up 3 hours scrolling on social media when you could have used those 3 hours for sleep. Sleep, which is essential for your entire well-being, mental, emotional, physical, psychological, everything. What are you trading your time for? Is it something that promotes the quality of your life, or is it something that takes away from that? And we haven't even talked about the quality of the things that you are consuming online. We haven't even talked about that. We're just scratching the surface. We're just talking about, the time that it takes for you to mindlessly scroll, even if you're looking at makeup videos or, whatever, mga chismis online, right? But then when you go deeper down the layers of that entire problem, there's a whole lot of things that we can talk about. If you do an assessment of the things or the topics that pop out of your FYP on a daily basis, do you think that that has a correlation to whatever you are feeling? For example, you've been feeling depressed, you've been feeling anxious, you've been feeling hopeless. Take a look at what you're consuming every day and do just a quick assessment, because more often than not, whatever you consume, whatever you feed your eyes, your ears, your brain, ultimately, it affects the way you think, it affects the way you relate to other people, it affects the way you live. So it's not just a small thing, it's something that can be very harmful to your health. I am not saying that all content is bad content, but you really have to be very discerning and be very wise with what comes out of your FYP, because the algorithm can be crazy sometimes. I've heard of crazy stories wherein they see like sexual videos popping up of their FYP out of the blue. And if you're not careful, it can lead you down a very, very dark path. Intentional and mindful consumption of media can be very helpful. I remember this video I saw on TikTok, and it said, instead of chasing dopamine on social media, chase real dopamine that you can get from running, from looking at the trees, from walking outside, from socializing with people. And there's a difference with getting dopamine from those two resources. My personal favorite dopamine boosting activities is getting morning sun every morning. I am not kidding you. I walk Kaimu between the hours of 7 and 9 because that is when we get most of the beautiful sunlight into our bodies, and I just feel so alive. It charges me. It charges me for the day. And I know it's good also for Kaimu's coat and skin. And again, it's a very natural dopamine boosting activity. There are also lots of different ways to naturally boost your dopamine: exercise, sleep, music, meditation and mindfulness, creative activities, social interaction. There's so many different ways, as opposed to boosting your dopamine through mindless scrolling on social media. And we wonder why we feel so depressed sometimes. And then you look at the habits that you've been cultivating in your life and you see, oh my gosh, I've been scrolling on social media for 6 hours. And I invite you to check your phone and check the time that you spend on social media platforms, and you'd be surprised. I feel like a lot of people would be surprised. And so one tip I have for you is to set a timer. So I have the 45-minute time limit on Instagram. So it doesn't matter if you're creating content or if you're consuming content, as long as you reach that time limit or 45 minutes, the app will tell you, girl, you've been spending time way too much already. Or not like that. It's going to tell you that, oh my gosh, 45 minutes time limit. It's time to close the app. And I feel like that is a very healthy way of reminding yourself, or even just staying on the tracks of mindful consumption. Now let's talk about mindful creation. And there was a point in time earlier this year, when I found myself drowning in work and I wasn't creating. I wasn't making reels. I wasn't recording podcasts. I just wasn't creating whatever content that I wanted to create. And as a creative person, I need an outlet. I need to be creating. I need to be putting stuff out just for my brain to feel healthy and normal. During that time, when I was like drowning myself in work, I felt like a prisoner. I felt like a robot. And during that time, I was very, very depressed. And I felt like everything is so hopeless. I did not have any meaning in life. Nothing is happening. And it was all because I wasn't creating. I was subconsciously suppressing my creative side, which is not good. It was also during that time that I randomly saw an article about the correlation of not creating and depression. And there is a link. There is a link between those two. So if ever you find yourself just constantly drowning yourself at work and not having any other creative outlets to let your creative mind just be, it will not end well for you. You are going to go down that hole of depression and anxiety and just feeling like you're a robot. And we are not robots. We are human beings and we need to be creating. We need to be doing something. And there are multiple ways wherein you can express your creative self. And I feel like we are so spoiled because we are given all of these choices and all of these avenues wherein we can express our creative selves. But then there's also a point or a level of responsibility that we have to take on when it comes to creating content, because not all content is good content. And I saw this video of a woman and she said, are you creating content that has value, or are you creating more noise in the world? Is there value, or is it just noise? Right? So that is also one thing that I've been constantly thinking of, because for me, creating holds a lot of responsibility. You don't know who's watching your content. You don't know who's going to see it. Again, those two things, consumption and creation, those two are super closely related. So once you understand that, you would be more mindful of what you put out, as mindful as you can be for things that you are consuming. So this episode is just a really good reminder for everyone, and myself included, just to be very, very intentional when it comes to consuming and creating, because you don't know how you are affecting lives, and that includes your own life also. So this week, I invite you to assess your social media habits. How are you consuming? How are you creating? And how can you improve those two things? That's it for your episode today. You just listened to Ask Say the podcast, and this is Saytioco signing off.